Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is the EB-2 NIW channel, and on this channel we talk about the employment-based routes to getting a US green card, either the EB-1, which is employment-based first preference, or the EB-2 NIW, which is employment-based second preference national interest waiver. All right, so today I'm going to talk a lot about the link between EB-2 NIW and the Visa Bulletin, right? I'm going to explain a lot about the Visa Bulletin and why it's so important, right? So there are two main steps when it comes to getting a US green card through the EB-2 NIW pathway, right? First, you have to get your application for alien worker using I-140. You have to get the I-140 approved. Now, once that I-140 is approved, there are two routes. If you're in the US, you get to adjust your status. You adjust your status using a form I-485, right? And if you're outside the US, the next thing that you're supposed to do is to apply through consular processing, right? So you're outside the US, you go to the US consulate, they ask you a few questions. Because they don't issue US green cards outside the US, you then allow for them to stamp your passport. You come into the US and you get your green card here, basically. So the Visa Bulletin is the roadmap to when you actually get your green card, right? So when you first apply for Form I-140, when you first put in your Form I-140, you get something called a priority date. A priority date is given to you. Now, generally, the priority date is the day that USCIS receives your application, right? So if you turn in your application today, they'll give you today's date as your priority date. That date then becomes important because it then, is useful when it comes time to give out green cards, right? They're going to issue green cards based on when you applied for that, you put in your I-140 application. Right? So what then happens, and the reason why EB-2 NIW and the priority date Visa Bulletin are linked is because after your I-140 gets approved, right now, because there's so much retrogression, they don't have enough green cards readily available for everybody. USCIS is issuing green cards based on when you applied. So for instance, if you look at the Visa Bulletin and they say, hey, it's time for us to adjust status for everyone who was approved on or before the 1st of January 2023, such as is the November 2023 Visa Bulletin, then it means that everybody who got approved last year literally can adjust their status come November 1st, right? And so the same is actually for October. From October, November, everyone who's been approved on or before 1st of January 2023 can now adjust their status, all right? You're gonna refresh your memory, all right? Now it's time. You've been approved, your I-140 has been approved, your priority date has been called. Let's say your priority date is December 25th, 2022, and you look at the Visa Bulletin and they say, if your priority date falls on or before 1st of January 2023, it's time to turn in your application. Well, guess what? It's time for you to apply for your adjustment of status so you can get your green card. So in today's video, we're going to talk about everything you need to know about adjustment of status, the forms that are needed, what you can do to save time, and of course, to help you be able to submit that application as soon as possible so you can get your green card ASAP. All right. So the first thing you need to know is, remember, adjustment of status, you need the form I-485. Always go to USCIS website and download the most recent version of every form. All right. Now, what are some of the supporting evidence that go alongside Form I-485? So Form I-485 is for adjustment of status. The first thing you need to know is, can you put a copy of your approved I-140 application, right? A copy of the approval that they sent you when you got approved. They usually send a notice of approval. You want to include that copy to your application. The second thing is you want to put your birth certificate, right? So remember to put your birth certificate. You want to put your evidence of your current immigration status. Now, these are for people who are within the US. You want to put evidence of your current immigration status. So if you're F1 OPT, you want to put your current I-120 in there. You want to put a copy of your current EAD card in there, right? If you're married and you're going to be adding dependents, this is a time to add as many dependents as you can, as long as they're your spouse and they're your kids under 21, right? So if you have kids who are US citizens, they don't need adjustment of status. They already have their citizenship. But if your spouse, if you have children under 21, you can add them on your petition. Each person on your petition is going to have to fill out a form I-485, right? each person on your petition is going to have to do the medical check and vaccination records using the form I-693. Now, remember that not every doctor is qualified to do the medical check. So what you're going to do is you're going to go on Google, you're going to search for a civil surgeon, just put in USCIS civil surgeon, and get on the USCIS page. And I'll put the link in the description portion of this video. All right. So once you get to that USCIS page, you're going to be able to put in your zip code. That allows for you to find doctors who are close to you, the closest doctors to you who can offer you this service, right? Now, make an appointment. I always say, it gives you so many options, at least if you don't live too far out, right? It gives you a lot of options. Call at least one or two of those options. Ask them on the phone how much it costs for that medical service. And the reason why you're asking is because there's no set fee, right? Different people charge different things. So to make sure you're getting a fair deal, make sure you ask on the phone, how much does it cost for this immigration medical check? Once they tell you, go ahead and make that appointment over the phone. This is because a lot of clinics don't allow walk-ins for this type of application, all right? So remember, what are they looking for? They're looking for mental health. They're going to be evaluating your mental health. They're going to evaluate your, look at your vaccination records. They're going to look for certain diseases that are public health concerns, such as syphilis, gonorrhea. These are the kind of things that they care about, right? So make that appointment, go to the doctor's appointment, and make sure that you have your form I-693 taken care of, all right? So the other forms that you can include with your adjustment of status, such as if you need a new EAD card, which is Employment Authorization card, you can apply for that when you're adjusting your status. If you need to be able to travel outside the US while they're working on your application, you can also apply for that, all right? So take advantage of those forms while you're applying for adjustment of status. In order to avoid delays with your adjustment of status, use the most updated version of every single form. Turn in your I-693, which is the medical form, alongside the adjustment of status. And you want to make sure that you send all the initial evidence that is required for them to give you a decision on your 485, right? Now, a lot of people ask me, can I still get an RFE on my adjustment of status? Yes, you can. I've seen it so many times. So it's usually around show us evidence that on the day that you applied for adjustment of status, that you are indeed in legal status in the US, right? So one of the things that you don't want to happen to you is for you to be out of status. So guys, make sure that you're keeping record of dates. You want to make sure that you are filing applications when you need to, and that you never fall out of status. At least do all you can to make sure that you don't fall out of status, because when it comes time to adjust your status in order to get a green card, they're going to ask, what status are you adjusting from to a green card, right? So if you're adjusting from student to green card, okay, show evidence of your F1 OPT or your F1. If you're adjusting from H1B to a green card, show evidence. If you're adjusting from J1 to a green card, show evidence, right? So make sure you have that evidence to show. Make sure you include a copy of your approved I-140 petition. Make sure you put your birth certificate. Make sure you put any relationship that you have with your dependents, such as marriage certificate, or if it's your kids, you put their birth certificates. If you're working for an employer and it's in line with what you propose, you can also put employment verification letter, things like that. And then for your medical, if you're applying for employment authorization document, make sure you put the appropriate forms, which is I-765. And if you're applying for be able to travel outside the US while USCIS is taking care of your application, then make sure you put a well completed and signed version of form I-131. All right. Okay. So in summary, let's talk about this. Your I-140 has been approved. You're ready to adjust your status because USCIS says in the November 23 Visa Bulletin that you can go ahead and adjust your status. What do you need? You're going to need a well completed, most updated version of the I-485. That form can be submitted alongside I-765, which is employment authorization, I-131, which is advanced parole, allows you to travel while the application is pending. But you should always submit evidence of your medical records, medical and vaccination records, using form I-693, right? For that form I-693, you're going to need to go to a civil surgeon, look for that on Google, get on that website, put your zip code, find the one closest to you. I said call them on the phone, make sure you make an appointment. Ask how much it is, because there's no standardized cost for this, right? At the end of the day, put all of these applications, even if you have dependents, you have your spouse, you have your kids, all of these applications can go into one envelope. You send that to USCIS and hope for the best. All right. So if you're listening to this video, it means your I-140 has probably been approved. I want to say big congratulations, and I hope everything goes smoothly with your adjustment of status. All right. All right. Take care and have a great day. Bye-bye.